And here we go. Welcome to the Sixth Floor Podcast, a podcast about everything. It's Yap, Sags, Breeze, and Bang Bang because
never going to not be funny.
Never going to not be funny. All right, we're hoping maybe to have a special guest here tonight. I'm not sure if he's going to show up, but we're going to go with it anyway.
Eddie Vedder again.
Huh?
Yeah. Eddie Vedder again.
Eddie Vedder may be making appearance here tonight. But anyway, so here we go. There was like big breaking news from the Pac-12 conference earlier this week that some of the players are going to sit out unless some demands were met. And Sags is taking the reins on this one. So we'll turn the floor over to the senator from Tennessee.
Yeah, so, we were just talking about it, and I read through it briefly. And I thought it'd be an interesting topic to see what we thought were legitimate, requests and what were like, that seems a little off base, and I don't know if that's really possible. So do you just want to go down the list? Because I just have like the list, their list of demands here from the interwebs.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So there's three sections: health and safety, protect all sports, end racial injustice in college sports and society. There's for economic freedom and equity, and then a couple other side notes. So the first one, health and safety precautions, COVID-19 protections, allow option not to play during the pandemic without losing athletics eligibility or a spot on team's roster. Seems legit in this day and time. Any dissenters in that? That seems like a fair request,
I think today,
I agree.
Yeah.
Prohibit or void COVID-19 agreements that waive liability. Prohibit or void the COVID-19 agreements that waive. I guess that's for the schools potentially.
Yeah,
right.
Lawsuits.
I don't know. It seems like the first and the second one kind of go together. Like if you want to opt out, then you can opt out. So
if you want to opt out, you wouldn't need to sign the waiver.
That's yeah. So
right.
Seems that they're kind of married. So mandatory safety standards, including COVID-19 measures, player approved health and safety standards enforced by a third party selected by the players to address COVID-19 as well as serious injury, abuse, and death. Again, don't really have an issue with players worried about their health in this kind of time. So protect all sports. Larry Scott, who is the leader of the NCAA, I guess. Is that right?
Oh, he's the commissioner of the Pac-12.
Pac-12. I know, I was just testing y'all. Nice job. Larry Scott, administrators and coaches to voluntarily and drastically reduce excessive pay. I don't know what excessive pay means. What's excessive? I'm not saying they don't make too much money, but
yeah, that's the problem when you get into stuff like that, where like you said, what's excessive? I will say that just generally speaking, in most states, the football or basketball coach is the highest paid public employee in each state in most cases. So I think that's kind of what they're alluding to there. And let me take just a quick second to jump back on the second point that you made about the lawsuits. I think that was thrown in there because not a lot of people know this, but during the previous couple of congressional budget deals, there was a lot of language in there about companies not being allowed to be sued for various COVID-related issues. And that was kind of an issue that kind of came up in this new negotiation, where a lot of people were upset about that being thrown in there, that there's too much protection being shown to businesses to protect them from any potential future lawsuits. So I think that's where that came from.
Yeah, I guess I think, working in the retail sector, I think if you don't allow people to sue on some level, that gives the business for lack of a better term, carte blanche to require people to work or whatever. So
Right.
I'm not a litigious person. It's a good word.
Wow.
But well, I don't like to brag, but I do think there is something to that, again, some companies would run with that, I think, and force people to work when they shouldn't. So I don't know, do I wish they would reduce their pay or, help others? Yeah. I mean, if you're making quote unquote an excessive amount of money, I wish they would, but I don't know what excessive is.
His salary is $5.3 million. Is that excessive for a conference commissioner? And who's to say, I mean, by them saying, hey, look, you need to take a voluntary cut. I mean, how is that voluntary? Right?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. Is 5.3 million excessive? I don't know. What's he generate?
I know that their revenue that came in dropped by $12 million. Is that
of COVID,
all COVID related, or is that because the conference sucks? One of the two.
Hey, we will not bash.
I'm sorry.
Greatest
You're
conference.
You're right. Yeah, that is the
football.
greatest conference.
Thank you.
Wow. But $5.3 million is a lot, but who's to say, I mean, is this not America where you try to make as much money as you can or you want? Isn't that what people want to do or try to do? And once you get to that point, who's to say you're not making that much money? Look in the sports world, look in professional sports, baseball, basketball. If you have a quarterback that's a free agent, guess what? He's going to be the highest paid quarterback when the next turn comes around. Dak Prescott.
Not if he plays for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's true. But no matter how good he is, because the bar has been set that high, so they're going to keep jumping and,
Sure.
I don't know. $5.3 million is a lot of money, and I would just take a fifth of that and be the commissioner.
Might do a better job.
But then again, we're four idiots sitting here on Zoom talking about sports. So,
hey, once those ads start rolling in,
absolutely, yeah,
we're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So next point was end performance and academic bonuses. I don't know. Again, will the players, when they go pro, not accept performance bonuses? Like, I think that's I understand where they're coming from again, but again, I'm not against it, but I'm uneasy about that. To just say I shouldn't tell you shouldn't get a performance bonus. I don't know how they're judged or what. Again, I don't know any of that, but I'm just saying, like, I shouldn't tell Yap that you can't get a performance bonus at your job. Well, I don't have why. Like, if he does the job and that is set in his contract from the beginning, if you meet this criteria, we'll give you an extra. Again, we're talking mad money here. It doesn't, an extra $500,000, whatever. So I wouldn't say I had issue with that, but I hesitate on that one.
You can go ahead and tell me that I shouldn't get one because I don't get one anyway.
Well, you should get one. I'm going to send you $1 just for doing this.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know. What do y'all think? End performance and academic bonuses. And I guess that's not just for that's for all coaches and everything. So
I would like to have a little better definition of like what is the prize for like an academic bonus? I mean, is it financial or?
I would assume.
Is it a gold star? I don't.
The world title belt.
I don't know. I mean, like you said, man, that's a slippery slope because, there's some incentives, for. And I know these aren't technically employees, but in a sense, they are. Everyone has incentives, to reward good work, So I don't know.
Did you hear what I just said?
Hello.
Well, yeah. Well,
here it is. Product placement.
Non-media companies.
Screen Doctors, County Road 1 in South Point, Ohio. Quality work on windows, screens, and doors.
No free ads. Okay, so again, I'm iffy on that one. The next one is an interesting one I found. End lavish facility expenditures and use some endowment funds to preserve all sports. And as an asterisk, as an example, Stanford University should reinstate all sports discontinued by tapping into their $27.7 billion endowment. So, Pac-12, well, I guess the first school you would think of when you read number 3 there, and lavish, Oregon, I would assume.
Yeah.
But that's also, in that case, a lot of that is funded privately by one Mr. Phil Knight. So now I'm sure they do roads and, around it or whatever they have to do to get it. But, the basketball arena is named after his late son. So, he puts a lot of money, obviously, into that program. So I think they should put more money in the community, and that comes down a little later. But the players do benefit from all of that. So,
yeah.
I mean, they could end it. I'm sure Oregon, for an example, hey, if you don't want us to spend $20 million on a new athletic facility, okay. Like that again, that just helps them. So, I don't know about that. They're not going
to turn down that money. They're not going to say no, right? Colleges are constantly bringing in money. They're not going to turn that down. It's like T. Boone Pickens in Oklahoma State, right? I mean, he does the same thing.
Yeah.
A billionaire that just funnels money in there.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. Do I think they should have that kind of stuff? Not to that extent, maybe. Again, but maybe that's like bonuses. I don't know. So, so that's kind of all for the protect all sports. And I think that might be what it's coming to is the football team has these 20, 30, 40, $50 million facilities, and they don't have, women's soccer or something, right? And I know it has to equal out because of Title IX, but they've eliminated men's sports just so they don't have to or won't have a women's sport in some schools. So maybe I think that's kind of maybe what they're more getting at. End racial injustice, topic 3, in college sports and society. Form a permanent civic engagement task force made up of our leaders, experts of our choice, not ours, their choice.
We don't get a say? We don't get a say?
Well, they might call, but.
Oh, okay. Just check.
Made up of our leaders, experts of our choice, and university conference administrators to address outstanding issues such as racial injustice in college sports and in society. I don't think any of us have a problem with that. In partnership with the Pac-12 of conference revenue, in partnership with the Pac-12, 2% of conference revenue would be directed by players to support financial aid for low-income Black students, community initiatives, and development programs for college athletes on each campus. I don't know why they're not doing this already. What's 2% of their revenue?
Yeah.
I mean, why is that not going into community? I don't know, that. So I got no issue with that. Form annual Pac-12 Black College Athlete Summit with guaranteed representation of at least 3 athletes of our choice from every school. Again, no issue with that. Number 4, economic freedom and equity. Guaranteed medical expense coverage. Medical insurance selected by the players for sport-related medical conditions, including COVID-19 illness, to cover 6 years after college athletics eligibility ends.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
To me, when I first saw the list, that's the one that jumped out. I'm like, 6 years. I mean, that seems like a reach. I mean, that's longer than, in theory, than what they should even be in school. I mean, at what point does the school not have liability for what they do with their lives? Now, I'm all for something like if you're a student athlete, and for as much, especially some of your bigger, your men's basketball, your football, you help bring in so much money for that school. If you get God forbid, a life-threatening injury, a serious injury while you're in school, I'm all for something to where that school helps pay for everything for the rest of that person's life. But you just graduate and then 4 years down the road, I mean, your college should pay your insurance. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I mean, to me, that just seems like that's asking an awful lot, just in that particular regard.
It's a huge amount. It's a huge ask. 6 years down. I mean, yeah. I mean, some of us were in college 7 years, but I mean, that's 6 years after you're done. I mean, what else do they want? They're getting a full ride scholarship anyway. Everything's paid for. They don't have to fork anything out. I know the health thing is a totally different thing, but 6 years down the road, and this whole thing, man, I don't even know where this is coming from because, and I know there's more items on your list, Sags, and we've seen them, and one of them is a 50-50 share of the money. I'm like, what? Why do you want 50% of the money? We'll get to that in just a minute. But
yeah,
you start with the whole COVID thing, and they see that Major League Baseball players, hockey players, NFL players, NBA guys decide that, well, it's not worth my risk to get COVID, so I'm going to opt out. So now college says, well, what can we do about this? Can we do something? If they put something together that's like a health plan, look, let's go forward with this and say, we don't want to play because of COVID, but we want our scholarships to be ruined. I understand that. That's cool. And I think we're all on the same page with that it's not a problem. But now you're throwing things in that maybe need discussed some other time, throwing the whole social injustice thing into this, throwing in you need to take a pay cut in this whole thing, Commissioner. We need health care for 6 years after we're done. We want more money. I mean, I don't know where this is all coming from. Now, I will say, as we're recording this now, the Pac-12 conference has decided to have a Zoom conference call at like 11 o'clock tonight, Eastern time, with these players. The Big Ten has done the same kind of thing, not to the extent that the Pac-12 has, but to drive all this now and to say that the college players are the ones running the asylum now. I mean, that's just excessive to me. And I just think they need to take a step back, pump the brakes a little bit, and not try to be part of this entitlement generation that thinks they deserve and get everything. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox.
Could you argue, though, that the NCAA on many levels has brought this on themselves? I mean, if it's, to me, it was different even like when we were in school, and it was starting to go then, when I loved the argument that Chris Webber, or whoever, just picking a person, when he was in school and he saw Michigan number 4 jerseys being sold everywhere and walking around, and you got the jersey because that was Weber's number. And he got nothing for that. Now, I'm not, you can say free ride, and that's cool. I understand that. But that jersey's $100, and again, they're buying it because of him. They're not buying they were buying 5, that was Jalen Rose, but they're not buying 27. They're buying 4. And as that's grown, the school or whoever just keep, and Nike and Adidas and UA, they just keep making all that money and more and more and more and more and more. And the kid is still like, hey, like, again, I'm not saying they should get a whole cut but they couldn't even go work charity events or they couldn't even go work events and get paid $100. Now, is there money under the table? Of course, we all know that. But so I think maybe the NCAA's brought some of this on themselves, and now it's at such a point, there's so much money that these players are growing up smarter, and they're like, hey, like, I can't get, $1,000 or whatever it is, or I can't get it's my name, it's my likeness. I can't get money for that.
That's the whole thing. That's the name, image, and likeness debate that's going on now in Congress and with college, and that's going to go through. And I don't have a problem with that. Just like Ed O'Bannon filed lawsuit against the NCAA and EA Sports because he's playing a video game, and a friend of his has a kid, and he's playing as Ed O'Bannon with UCLA, right. And those games are $60, and he's not getting a dime of that. Right. So, I mean, that's cool, and I understand that. I mean, if you wanted to go sell your image and likeness, for whatever, which you may have, I don't know. But I mean, it's you, right? That's you. But with, that whole jerseys thing, I don't know. I mean, do you buy a Marshall number 33 jersey because it's John Elmore, or because it's Malik Hightower and he's one of your favorite players?
Do I mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's Malik Hightower.
So, right. I mean, okay. So you could, if you sold that, you say, no, that's not John Elmore. That's Malik Hightower. And at what point do you divide it up? Like, you might have a favorite player, Malik Hightower, and you're buying it because of him. But John Elmore says, I wore number 33. My number, that's mine. That's my money. Well, is it when you buy it or where you buy it? Is that where we're going?
I mean, if we wanted to solve the issue, I would say you're eligible for that money within your 4 years of eligibility.
Throwback.
So once you graduate, you can no longer get revenue from that jersey.
I have a Marshall basketball
jersey. So Malik
jersey.
has been cut off.
Okay, Malik's cut off. I have a Marshall jersey in my closet right now. It's number 3. All right, so when I say Marshall number 3, who do you think of?
Bang Bang.
No, Skip Henderson, right? You think of Skip Henderson. Well, maybe most people do. Apparently you 3 don't. Brush up on your history.
Yeah.
But it's not. You look at the back of the jersey, it has Lamb on it. You guys probably don't even remember him.
Jeremy Lamb?
No. Or Dawn. I don't remember who's on. Is it Ronnie Dawn or it doesn't matter. It's number 3. And I say, look, that's my Skip Henderson jersey. Of course, he's in jail, but that's neither here nor there.
It's another podcast.
That's right. We'll get to that. I don't know. Breeze Johnson, what do you think?
Now, I'm all for, the athletes getting a cut, something like that. But there's a big difference between getting a cut of using your likeness and asking the college to pay for your medical bills 6 years after you graduate. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. And I just think that's where, again, I think the NCAA has taken such advantage. And years and years and years ago, it was probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I know time to time it was probably equal or somewhat. But now it's literally billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it's just grown. And the kids are finally like, wait a minute. Like, there's kids getting in trouble for, getting a plane ticket home to go see a sick relative, from a booster or whatever. And again, I know it's a slippery slope. I get it. But it's like, the NCAA, I think on some levels has brought this on themselves. So
do you think there's a slight chance that, something to me like the insurance is, slightly, overboard, a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the players are even smarter than what we're giving them credit for, and they realize, hey, if we ask for all this stuff and some of it's ridiculous, and then the people look at it, it's like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. Oh, we'll give them this. I worked on my parents, when I went to the store when I was 6, I'm like, hey, Mom, can I get this box of baseball cards? No, and I only really wanted a couple packs. Well, okay, well, can I just get a pack? Oh, sure. I don't know.
Well, Breeze, isn't that what they do in, House and Senate? It's like, here's this bill for COVID-19. And then either side, I'm not picking a side, one slips in. It's like, well, we're going to put this in about this. It has nothing to do with COVID, anything. It's like to buy a new plane or something for the military. And it's like, well, if you want the COVID, you got to give us the plane.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right. So
It's
we talked
just
about
negotiations. That's all it is.
Sure.
If you go in for your job and you're asking for a raise and they say, well, how much do you think you deserve? You aim high all the time. Right. And then you meet somewhere in the middle. So
I think 6 years is too much. I wouldn't even say a year or two, because, you got a bad ACL injury as a senior.
Yeah.
And you got a few, some residual effects from that a year or two after. I would be okay with that. But, again, it's probably in the, the details. Names and rights, we just kind of talked about. I think you should get paid for your name and likeness. That seems crazy to me that you can't. I don't know. We just kind of talked about that, though. So here's Philya's favorite, I think. Fair market pay, rights, and freedoms. Distribute 50% of each sport's total conference revenue evenly among athletes in their respective sports. Seems like a lot of money. I mean, half of the revenue, that's
paying the players.
That's a lot.
That's all it's coming down to, paying the players.
Do we want to go on the pay your player thing?
I mean, that's basically what it is, right? I mean,
I know. Do we think they should get paid?
10 minutes left, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's another podcast.
That's the thing. So here we go. This is why one of the main reasons that I think the Power Five is going to break away from the NCAA. They're going to get into this thing where they can pay athletes for their name, image, and likeness. They're going to get to the point where they can pay athletes a monthly stipend while they're in season, maybe through the whole year. And you're going to see that particular group of maybe 64 breaking away from the NCAA, forming their own thing, and you'll get divisions again, like we had 1A and 1AA. Now you got FCS and FBS, and I think in the next few years you're going to see that, and this is a big step toward that.
So yeah, because I mean, if some of this goes through, I mean, it's going to be a domino effect. The SEC will be next. The Big Ten.
So this might be Yap's favorite. 6-year, being the 7-year student you were. 6-year athletic scholarship, huh?
Thank you. Yes.
6-year athletic scholarships to foster undergraduate and graduate degree completion. I would say 5, 6, like. Of course, I guess the athletes a lot of times have to go to summer school to keep up with their coursework and stuff. So, I don't know. Issues on that?
Say that one again.
6-year athletic scholarships to foster undergraduate and graduate degree completion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's an easy one to get behind, really. I think, any athlete that would leave school early maybe to go professional or should be given the opportunity to come back in school as long as they left the school in good academic standing and that they would continue to remain in good standing academically. That's what we're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be student athletes. So they're striking while the iron's hot athletically, and you're still able to fall back on that academic part of it. I don't think that would be too hard to ask.
Do the people that leave for the pros need that scholarship though? Don't they have the money at that point? I mean, I would say if
maybe. I'm
okay with it for, people that don't go pro or something like that. But like if you've used your eligibility, you're, Skip Henderson, whatever, and you play 4 years and you don't get drafted and you're like, well, I still need, 12 credits to finish my degree.
Right. Yeah.
That's fine. But I'm not giving John Wall a scholarship when he's playing for the Bullets. The Wizards now. Sorry. I'm old. He's got money. He can pay for his own. So.
What if you leave early?
Well, then you've probably gone pro.
Okay. Now, what if you leave early? You're in your first practice. You blow out your ACL. You're done.
You're still a millionaire.
You're not playing.
No, but you've signed a fully guaranteed contract for rookie contracts are 5 years?
5 years, I think.
3?
Yeah. But, I mean, if you're 7th round pick, you're not making millions of dollars.
Well, in the NFL, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess, again, that could be a detail.
Yeah.
Seeing if there's one that's a little bit more. How much time we got left yet?
We've got 6 minutes.
Okay, this might be a good one. Ability of players of all sports to transfer one time without punishment, and additionally in cases of abuse or serious negligence. Should players be allowed to transfer?
Yes. If a coach can leave in the middle of the season and go to a different school and do all the moving around that the coaches do, the players should have that opportunity as well, I think.
Doesn't that open up a wider Pandora's box? If players can just, and I know here it says once or in cases of abuse, but I don't know. You could just have players going everywhere, whenever, however.
Free agency.
Essentially. And I understand it.
That's what the coaches are doing.
Well, that's one guy though. You could have literally a new team every year.
Well, what happens when the new coach comes to the new school and, he goes through the roster and he's, every time a new coach or marshal comes in, how many players lose their scholarship because the coach doesn't want them on a team because they want to bring in their people?
Look, who didn't want to play for Dwight Freeman? Tell me.
Yeah, really.
Don't answer that. No, I see that aspect of it. I can't argue that point. I can't. But I just think if you just allow, players to leave even once in 4 years, that's a lot. I think maybe if you wanted to say they could leave if negligence or abuse or whatever the abuse or serious negligence, that would be fine. But to just say, I'm playing at UT this year and I want to go play at Alabama next year, that could be troublesome, I think.
And if you don't like your playing time. And I can see, if you get a new coach, okay, maybe you were recruited by this guy and you had a bond, a relationship with him, but he's fired or goes somewhere else. Maybe that's something the NCAA looks at and says, all right, if you get a new coach, then yeah, you can transfer. But just because you're not getting playing time, I want to tell you a prime example of that. Justin Fields transfers from Georgia to Ohio State, doesn't have to sit out a year. Now, I know there are circumstances behind that where he said there was some kind of racial slur thrown at him at a baseball game. He was on scholarship to play baseball. So wouldn't that mean that he would have to sit out a year? I mean, you're seeing this all the time. Tate Martell was another guy. He transferred from Ohio State to Miami, didn't have to sit out a year. And you're seeing this more and more where the NCAA says, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you're good. You're going to play for another good team. Go, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. But you get a guy who wants to transfer closer to home to care for a sick grandmother or a sick aunt or a sick mother, and they deny them that free ride or that free transfer. So the NCAA, again, handcuffed in this whole thing, and they're shooting themselves in the foot with this. The one-time transfer deal, I don't know, whatever.
I mean, you're only there for 4 years, theoretically. I mean, in real life, and I'm not trying to be the old man here or tell these kids how it should be, but, sometimes you're going to be at a job where you and your boss get along, and then that boss moves on and you get a new boss. Now you can quit, or you can go to another job, but the odds are you might not because, you got that job, you like that job, sometimes you got to get along with people you don't like. So should coaches leave?
2 minutes.
No, they should honor their contract. How many?
2.
They should honor their contract. I totally agree with that. But again, I just think if you just allow players to transfer willy-nilly, that would be a disaster.
You used a big word at the beginning of this podcast, and then you used willy-nilly.
I'm showing my range.
Okay.
I'm the Mariah Carey. I'm of words.
Sure.
I got big words.
I got a message. Our special guest was not going to be able to make it tonight, but we'll be here next week.
Oh, okay.
Excited.
So still a secret then.
Yeah.
All right. Good talk.
Well, I think one of the main takeaways we can take from this is that the NCAA, as we have known it, is going to be going the way of the dodo bird, so to speak. Because they've lost. I mean, when you think about the past few years, Philly, y'all mentioned this a minute ago. When you look at it, they've lost every case that they've been in court for the past several years. I mean, they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson,
Right.
Any thoughts?
No, I mean, I'm not getting sucked in to start to say something before.
He's not the best color man in the business for nothing, folks.
Yeah.
Nothing? Come on, man. You got like 20 seconds.
Nope. Not going to get me this time.
Okay. Good job, fellas. Make sure you download, subscribe, and like.